Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Look Alive event in which the Haunted Guardian is added to the game. As far as the trait stones that it comes with, it is a blue-purple at 300 each. As far as the troop, it actually comes with a somewhat new mechanic in that it gets to explode gems in a 3x3 cross. This is quite a bit of a weird shape, but basically the easiest way to explain this is it does a normal explosion at whatever you target at, and then does 3 over to all 3 of the sides, or all 4 of the sides. Since it's a little bit weird, let me just go show it real quick. So basically, we'll show it in a battle. Let's do it in, how about the Warlord event, actually. Would be a pretty good battle to go do it in. So, of course, we got a Warlord event this week. We got it with the extra 160% to both Skulls and Spell, which is good because we do not have too many options due to the fact that it's a restriction of Knights and Blue. But anyways, this is one of the teams that we're using for it. Sure, we'll just use normal metals. I don't think it'll matter. We're up against pretty low battle. But anyways, essentially the best way to look at it as far as what this explosion does, it's a completely useless troop. But as far as its shape, it'll explode everything around what you target. So like a normal 3x3 explosion. So we're going to be targeting this red right here. Yeah, I guess that's a fine one to target, but to show it. But we'll be targeting this red. So what it will do is it will explode all these gems. It'll explode these 3. Those 3, these 3, and then those 3. So a bit of a weird shape. As you see right here, if we slow down the speed, it'll be exactly those. And, oh, we got a Valkyrie we need to go kill too. But if we do that, you'll see it explodes all these, then those 3, then those 3, those 3, and then those 3. So a bit of a weird shape, but that's what it does. And as you saw, that's where our target was. Everything around it, 3, 3, 3, 3. Is essentially what it does. Anyways, let me go move it back to normal speed. Otherwise, we might be here for a few years. And there we go. Okay, and let's just go win this battle. This is a cheap team, by the way, not the more expensive team. But since Bronze Lock Pistol is pretty easy to get, and Night Coronet's pretty, well, everything on this team is pretty easy to get, should end up working out pretty decently for a low rarity team. But there we go. Anyways, that's the new troop. It's pretty much useless. However, if nothing else, you can actually use it for this event if you don't have many other options. Anyways, let's go over everything else. So, we got a Guild War this week. Of course, we'll be doing that every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a new Guild War card every single day. And unfortunately, Blue Day's all the way on Sunday. I wanted to mess with that new blue team that we got the other week. And we won't be able to until all the way at the end of the week. But still got that going on. We got 10% to all undead as well as 10% to all knights, which have a little bit of overlap. And if you want to use the new troop in PvP to mess around with it, you do gain 5 glory every single time. Wouldn't really advise it. It's pretty average, but hey, 5 glory is 5 glory. And if I'm not mistaken, the first task is to go get 5 glory, and I think that counts. So you just do one PvP battle with it, and you should have all the glory you need. As far as the event key drop table, it is pretty bad. I would just skip it. As far as what's available in the event key drop table, if we go over to troops, I should already have it there. Yes, we do. Every single thing that you see here underneath the Sword's Edge category under Show All is available, with the exception being the 4 Crypt Keeper troops. Pretty much every single thing in this kingdom is relatively useless. The only thing maybe worth considering opening for is Queen Jezebel. She's a legend. She gives you a little bit of mana to your entire team. She'll give attack and armor to whatever targets, and she'll do damage based on the ally's attack. The biggest issue with this is that her attack applies after the ratio is already determined. So let's say they have 50 attack, and she's about to give them 34 more attack. It will not do 84 damage. It'll do 50 damage. Because it adds the attack after the fact. There are some troops that do it prior, however, she's not one of them, and for that reason, she isn't as good as she potentially could end up being. Overall, probably the best thing that is related to this kingdom, with the second best probably being Graveseer. However, Graveseer is obtained by throwing Chaos Shards at Crypt Keepers. It is not within the event key drop table. But yeah, overall, I pretty much skip all an event keys this week. Pretty good week to end up skipping on. And if you are to open, you'd pretty much just go until you get some Queen Jezebels, or however many copies you need of her. Both of the mythics are pretty useless, though of course you do eventually need one in order to get the kingdom above 10 stars, and as of this week it can reach 19 stars. Unfortunately, it will not be reaching 20 stars this week. Bounty Hunter this Friday, while it's normally of the same of the kingdom, it is actually going to be for a different kingdom, for Droxzoom. I guess because Droxzoom doesn't have enough and they didn't want to give us an extra stat. But yeah, unfortunately, we will not be getting the 20th or the level 20 capability this Friday. the Bounty Hunter will be giving it to Droxzoom instead. Anyways, as far as other events, I briefly went over it when we were doing the one battle. However, of course, we got a Warlord event, 160% to both Skulls and Spell. It is a Knight's Blue restriction. This is a rather restrictive restriction as far as what you can end up using, with the best option, oddly enough, being the Queen Jezebel I was just mentioning. Other than that, you can kind of scrap together a few others. Knight Coronet being a pretty consistent early game damage source if you're looking for something low rarity, like we did with this low rarity team. But overall, options are pretty bad, so got to use what you can get. And of course, your blue weapons you can end up utilizing as well, since they do indeed count as blue, and you can set your hero class to whatever, and it still counts. Corsair giving a lot of extra blue, so worth considering given that the hero class is +3 blue, which would be very useful given that your entire team, including your hero, is restricted to the blue color, which will help the mana out. And then you can start with 20%. Keep in mind, the Knight 50% mana start does exist. However, it is a brown-yellow, if I'm not mistaken, so it is not usable under blue. So even though there is a 50% mana start to Knights, you are not capable of using it for this event, which is rather unfortunate. Wish they would have made it like a blue-yellow restriction, because then it would be able to end up being used. But yeah, it's a little bit of a weird restriction, though. I guess it's because Sword's Edge is such a blue-heavy kingdom. But then again, it's also a blue-yellow kingdom, so I don't know. Anyways, as far as other things that we got going on this week, apparently Tribute, always make sure to grab those. Those occur every hour. Always great. Anyways, as far as other things we got going on this week, Fang Moor will be the faction event for tomorrow. Or sorry, did I say Fang Moor? Fang Moor was last week. Dark Pits will be the faction event for tomorrow. They have a somewhat similar icon when it's grayed out like that. But Dark Pits we have tomorrow. Wednesday, we got the Griffin Pet, which is the pure yellow team. So whenever you use a team of pure yellow, you get a little bit of a bonus. Thursday's the Knight Hero class. It's one of the worst hero classes in the entire game. However, yeah, it's you can pretty much just ignore it, though. Of course, a lot of people probably don't have it upgraded, so hey, you can get some passive EXP. And as you can see from the timer, and as I already mentioned, Bounty Hunter is this Friday. We will be getting a new brown-purple troop that will have the capability of skull spamming. It might even start slowly making the meta move a little bit closer to skull spam. I'm pretty sure Tagaraki is still going to be the meta and going forward for quite a while. However, it is one troop that might eventually push the meta over to making skulls a little bit better. However, it's not going to do that quite yet. We still need a few other options before it's fully there, and skulls can be fully realized within Bounty. But as it currently stands, obviously all builds, at least currently, are built around Tagaraki, and that is to stay, at least for a while, till we get a few other good options. Anyways, as far as Soulforge, if I'm not mistaken, we are on a new cycle of Soulforge, because if I'm not mistaken, like 2 or 3 weeks ago for Halloween, didn't we already have Grey King? So Grey King's already back. That is mostly because we got a new cycle for the Soulforge. Grey King, pretty great option, especially now that he has 50% mana start. He's actually one of the biggest beneficiaries of a 50% mana start that was added recently from the Halloween pet. That way he obviously got on Halloween. But that thing gives all undeads 50% mana start, which is the only way he's ever going to get 50% mana start since he only counts as a undead. So he got a really big buff there. That's probably one of the best things that troop ended up giving a benefit to. As far as other options, Obsidious is generally considered a top 10 troop, mostly because of its final trait. It ends up stunning all enemies for a single extra turn. It also has a storm into itself and skull reduction, so it's quite a bit going on. Its ability is a little bit lackluster compared to some of the other ones that are similar to him. However, he is almost entirely used for his 50% skull reduction combined with that stun. With that stun obviously being his main gimmick that he tends to be used for, as a 4-time stun is very effective to disable traits and can make a lot of battles very easy if the enemy team depends heavily on those traits or even just uses them to even any amount of efficiency. Other than that, Megavore is kind of okay. I'm personally not a huge fan of it these days. It's way too luck based on its final trait, though its traits are pretty good. And it is currently the only troop that can 4 times eliminate armor. And does have a pretty decent amount of single target true damage. However, it takes so much startup that very rarely is this actually worth going for in a quick kill team. You would kind of think that in a quick kill team, something that can kind of like half eliminate something's durability might be good for that. However, there are normally other options that can end up doing it a bit quicker for how much startup he has. And just overall is kind of average in the current state of the game. It's still maybe a utility troop you might want to bring around, but it is very, very rarely used, and I would definitely consider getting Grey King or Obsidious as much higher priorities, as Grey King has more of a Guild War purpose as well, given that it's a Guild War week. And same as Obsidious, this is all-around a really good troop and a great utility to have. Anyways, as far as weapons, they can all be ignored, though don't forget to go get the new one if you're getting absolutely everything in the game. This is the first week that you've been able to obtain it for free without having to spend the $5 if it showed up on your little offer thing. But So for this week's the first time that one's been available for free, like all the other single epic weapons that keep coming. I think we still have like 16 of them left. It was added a few patches ago, and they're still rolling in because obviously only one event happens every single week. So they're slowly coming in over time. I don't think we've had a repeat one yet, though we will eventually reach repeat kingdoms probably before we hit one of each of them. But yeah, make sure to get those if you're going for full-blown completion, as it is a new weapon, technically. Other than that, you can ignore every single other thing in the Soul Forge. They're all useless, including that weapon. They're just never going to be used. They're just for completionist purposes if you want to get all the weapons in the game. If you are to get one based on it actually being somewhat decent, if you do want to craft something, I'd probably say to go for the one that boosts based on knights, which creates a bunch of blue and red. It's a little bit better than the Sword's Edge option because there's obviously a lot more knights in the game than there are Sword's Edge troops. So you can end up getting a little bit more value off the cane sword than you can off of the edged blade. So if you are going to craft something for Soul Forge, if you just want to get something, that's probably the thing to go for. However, I would pretty much ignore all the weapons that are available this week. Anyways, as far as teams, we got several teams to go over. The first one you kind of already saw when we ended up showing it for the World Lore event. However, the one that I'm mainly going to be using for the World Lore event most likely is going to be Anu Scepter with triple Queen Isabel. Basically, the whole premise is throw everything into your first slot, buff it up, get insane attack. You get the attack buff on top of the attack buff, so not only do you get the magic buff, but all the attack that Queen Isabel gives will also go towards your attack buff. So since you're going to have a really big bonus for both, you're basically going to be killing with everything. Since both your attack will be going up and your damage will be going up, since Queen Isabel's damage is based on your attack. So you basically just keep buffing up your hero. For the later battles, you might switch to Titan or something just so you can tank. And yeah, just kind of go from there. You can also replace this out for a Bronze Lock Pistol. I kind of just went for Anu Scepter here. There's a couple different options. We'll probably change up the weapon here and there. Probably one of the bigger weapons you can go for, something like a Doomed Blade or something like that. But we'll probably switch it up, see what works, and kind of go from there. But just one kind of premise that you can kind of use with it. Obviously, the main premise being 3 Queen Isabel, keep casting in the first slot, win. And if you really want to, you can go like Bronze Lock Pistol with triple damage burning. However, I think that's overkill, given how much damage you're already going to be gaining from her attack gains. Anyways, as far as the deep, or dark pits, I mean, gosh, I will name it everything that's incorrect. But in dark pits, there's a couple teams you can end up using. Given that we got Stone Slicer, I figured we mentioned a team for this since, well, it was just available last week. So Stone Slicer, Triple Gargoyle, great option for lower level range if you want to consider it. Aside from that, it is a green-brown restriction, so you can run the Truffle team the entire way. The Forest Troll double Truffle into a Doom weapon, ideally either Doomed Glaive or Doomed Club. However, you can go pretty much any weapon you want there. However, Doomed Glaive and Doomed Club would be the absolute most effective. With Doomed Glaive, I feel like being a little bit better if you happen to have it laying around, and ends up working out pretty great, and works for every delve where it's allowed to be used for the entire time, all the way from 20 to 500. I normally don't use it for the super low level range. Like, you normally might not see me using this on Tuesday. However, if you're going through like 100 to 500, it's definitely a really solid option. This sometimes is a slightly quicker option. Like, even the Gargoyle team might go slightly quicker than it at that lower level range. It just happens to be the case. It's because you need a little bit of mana startup, where some other things can get that mana a bit quicker and still do decent damage. Anyways, as far as Purifaction, it's a little bit of an annoying one. Not like the most annoying, like you at least have damage. The main premise is you ideally want to keep your Sledge Paw alive towards the final battle. He's your tank. Plague Rat you just use for mana accumulation. And the main premise here is you have double Hex Rat. These things will deal damage to an enemy and then all enemies below. However, if you hit the first enemy, that of course will hit all enemies because it's hitting the first, it's hitting whatever you target and all below. So obviously just keep targeting this at this first slot and you'll hit full AoE damage to hit all enemies. You just basically keep repeating this and it works basically like any delve where you have an option that hits all enemies simultaneously. You just keep casting until you win. And you just keep chipping them down over and over again, and that's basically the whole premise. Keep Sledge Paw to the end, have them tank forever, mana accumulate, and then just keep poking until they die. That is pretty much the premise of this delve. And you do want to make sure you can keep everything alive going into the final battle. Luckily, Dark Pits is only a 3-room final, so you only have to do the first room, a little middle room, and then the final room, and you'll be right into the final. So it's not a really long path, so you're very likely going to be able to keep your entire team. Ever so occasionally, you might have to repick for the middle battle if it's something really annoying. However, aside from that, yeah, as long as you can get this team to the final, you should pretty much be fine, especially with potion effects if you're doing it on the Tuesday event. Anyways, Thursday event, it's a pretty useless one, but You can just use a bunch of mana links into a weapon. You have access to blue and yellow as far as links are concerned, if I'm not mistaken. This one specifically just shows triple lance knight into a blue option in order to just kind of get Dawnbringer up. You can do that obviously with any blue weapon. Dawnbringer is pretty much only good on Thursdays these days. There's a few other uses for it. But Thursday class event's still one of the only places, or one of the only few places, where it's actually the meta choice. While in other locations it's kind of an average choice, it's one of the few where it's actually still good. So I figured I showed, why not? It's also going to be better than the Duskbringer that we're going to get in a few weeks anyway, so why not? We are going to be getting that. It's the 7th week of the campaign, and we are getting pretty close to the end. It is getting very, very close. But anyways, as far as the final thing, Bounty Hunter, you can use Chris Turtle. The brown purple is currently a placeholder for the new troop that's coming out this Friday. Tagraki Warrior, as always, obviously you use Tagraki. And the Werewolf ends up giving you a bunch of red, and then that would be 4 times Bounty. And that's pretty much all you'd have to do. Chris Turtle feeds a bunch of brown and does your board control. It also tank with 50% score reduction, which is good because your second slot will do skull spam because it'll be the new troop that's coming out this Friday. Tagraki does this normal boost ratio stuff. You would target 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and let your skulls kill first. And Warwolf will just create a bunch of red. You might even want to target the 3rd and 4th depending on what the final battle is or what battle you're farming on, just because your skull spam may potentially kill the first 2. He's going to be able to create 2 Doom Skulls boosted by greens, destroyed in a column by 2. So if you destroy like 3 greens in a column, he'll do 8 Doom Skulls, if I'm not mistaken. Plus it creates a Skull Storm. So you have a little bit of scroll pressure. It's not the best skull thing in the game, but compared to things you have available for Bounty Hunter, it's a decent option compared to what is currently there. And as I mentioned, we are on the 7th week of the campaign. It is starting to get to the end. We are kind of getting the weapons that'll be used for Duskbringer at this point. We're getting the 3 of them. One of them we got the other week. The other one we're getting this week. And if you bought the bigger pass, you technically already have all 3 of them now. However, not until the final 10th week of the campaign will we be able to craft Duskbringer, as well as get this thing, which is a pretty useless mythic. But Duskbringer is probably the more noteworthy thing. It's basically Dawnbringer before higher mana costs, the complete inverted colors of green, brown, purple, and it gets the Doom Skull, or sorry, Death Mark, all opposing enemies. I don't really feel like it'll be too good. However, Death Mark can obviously randomly kill out of nowhere, so that's why they kind of did the 4 higher mana costs. However, it has the same damage as a Dawnbringer, and I feel like that's overall going to make it a little bit worse in the sense that you're basically paying 4 mana for the same damage, assuming no Death Marks actually get a kill. But I don't know, we'll have to see how it works. Who knows, maybe Death Mark will just decide to magically be good all of a sudden. Or who knows, maybe they'll buff Death Mark in the future, which would actually end up making that weapon insanely strong. We'll just have to wait and see. We also don't know exactly what it will cost, but based on the fact that it's inverted Dawnbringer, it's a really good chance it'll be 1,000,000 souls, given that that is the Dawnbringer cost. Though I would prioritize doing Dawnbringer rather than Duskbringer, and that's probably going to be the case even once we get an option to go and get it. But anyways, guys, I'll pretty much wrap it up for this video. We'll be streaming every night as we always do at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The only exception being this Thursday. I will not be streaming Gems of War Thursday night nor Friday morning. Mostly because Age of Calamity is coming out this Friday, and we're kind of going to be playing that. And that stream is going to be kind of cutting over those 2 streams. We'll still be doing a Thursday kind of morning stream instead to cover what we would have at night. And then the Friday stuff, which is obviously Bounty Hunter, we obviously covered slightly right now, but we'll also be doing it during the Friday night stream at our normal time at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And aside from that, we'll be doing Guild Wars every single day. But anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Best of luck with everything, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it below.